Welcome to Cinema Bing Bong, your monthly film magazine podcast, the only film magazine podcast bringing you premium content for transsexuals, bisexuals, perverts, freaks, and people with issues with their mothers or who are themselves mothers. Hello, my name is Amelia, and I'm joined today by my lovely co-host, Rebecca. Hi, Rebecca.
That adding just mothers at the end really expanded the audience.
Yeah. I feel like every mother is also a little bit of a freak.
Because of the birth?
No, not where I was going with that. Just because of the attitudes, more the attitudes than the physical act. Because you don't have...
I think, because I didn't know what you meant, it made me think of when you're a child and all the like mums and teachers and stuff are like, oh, just get changed. Once you've had a baby, you won't care anymore.
Yeah, there you go. Freaks all around. And the reason for this illustrious and unusual introduction today is that this is our special episode all about Pedro Almodóvar.
And now what?
That's where you jump in and you say, yes, I love his films or something.
Oh, okay. I was going to do the updates first.
Okay, so yes, before we're talking about Almodóvar and all things Almodóvar, hospitals, perverts, the whole lot, Rebecca has some crucial cinema updates. Rebecca.
Okay, the only updates are that Ben Platt posted all these... he posted all these screenshots of a speech by Hannah Einbinder.
Hell yeah.
It sounds stupid when you say it.
It doesn't sound stupid to me. I can't believe I doubted Ben Platt after I got so on side because of theatre camp.
About Gaza, and then he and Molly Gordon refollowed each other.
Yo. All right. Theatre camp 2, here we come.
My only two other updates were Adam Pearson is going to be playing the Elephant Man in a new movie.
He seems very chuffed about that. That's actually one of the few David Lynch films I haven't seen.
Do you want to hear something offensive?
Oh my god. Giving me more stuff to edit, Raz. Yeah, sure.
That's the only one I've seen.
What? Okay.
Oh, no. I've seen Blue Velvet.
Okay, all right. I think there are other ones that you would like, but I think there are also a lot of them that probably are not. You probably wouldn't be
Yeah, there's
into.
a lot that I wouldn't like.
Yeah, so I'll see if I can recommend you a couple.
And the other thing is that the people online are talking about the Honey Don't trailer.
Are they?
Aubrey Plaza, yeah, they are. Aubrey Plaza and Margaret Qualley are lesbian detectives and police officers. Directed by Ethan Coen. I think that looks bad.
Well, his last lesbians movie,
Drive Away Dolls.
Yeah, that was bad.
Yeah.
He needs to get... Look, I'm happy that he's doing all this cool stuff with his, like, lesbian wife or whatever. I think he needs to get back.
Get bent.
He needs to get back with his brother and make good movies again. Oh my god, apparently this is the second in a lesbian B-movie trilogy.
Oh god. And then the other thing was that someone online compared it to the two brothers who were in The National.
Well, I couldn't comment on that. Are they brothers? Is that a family band? That scans. That
I didn't
makes
even
so
know
much
that.
sense. Of course it is. What are people saying?
That it looks bad. Some people think that it looks cool, but then people are like, well, did you see Drive Away Dolls? Because it sucked.
Yeah, it was a bit janky.
They didn't.
Which is so weird for like a Coen movie, because they're usually like, even the ones that I don't really like, they're usually very like slickly put together.
And the alien in a dress and a wig is like not going to be in the Lilo and Stitch live action.
For sensitivities reasons? Why?
No, okay. So basically, the animator posted it like a mock-up of it. And then he was like, sorry guys, I tried, but it's not going to make it in.
Oh.
And then everyone was like, this is because of the fascism. But he never said that. It could be, but...
I mean, that's the real thing about 2025 is you never know what's because of the fascism and what's just because, you know.
Yeah, because sometimes some stuff is not because of fascism.
Sometimes things just have to be cut from movies for totally neutral reasons.
Yeah. That's the way editing goes.
Yeah. Oh, well. Okay. All right.
Okay, so that's all the updates.
I feel up to date now. So, Raz, why are we doing a special on Almodóvar?
Because Amelia got married.
Oh, it's
and she didn't have time to go to the movies.
Beautiful. Yes, although I really want to see... I'm going to see Sinners this weekend.
I don't think I'm going to see Sinners.
Yeah, I think that's fair enough. You're not a big horror movie person.
No, I don't think I'm going to see Sinners because I didn't have time and I'm going away on Monday.
Oh, yeah, and you're going to be in...
friend is coming on Saturdays and she's already seen it, so... And it's Thursday night, so if I wanted to see it, I would have to see it tomorrow morning.
I mean, I wouldn't put that past you.
It's raining, though.
Oh, okay, fair enough. All right, so, but that's a reason why we're doing like a special episode, but why... Yeah. Why this little puffy is Spaniard offensive? Or is that's
no,
fine? Oh.
That's normal.
Little puffy Spaniard who we love.
You mean his hair, right?
Yeah.
I just thought it'd be good.
Yes. Yeah.
Well, because in the movies, everyone's like, "You're looking heavy."
No, I'm talking about
I'll help you down, but you've put on weight.
I'm talking about his beautiful bouffant of hair.
I thought it would be a good idea to... Sorry for this practical answer. I thought it would be a good idea because we've both seen some of his films.
Yes.
But not all of them.
Yes. Correct. Wow.
And we'd been talking about The Room Next Door.
It's very how the sausage is made. Oh, we just put in the stuff that we've got.
The other theme option, I hadn't seen any of them, and I was like, I don't know if I'll have time.
Yes, no, fair enough. And I think they're also like interesting to talk about, and I love them.
Yeah, and we also wanted to talk about them.
So Raz, what's your personal history with on it? So look, on every other podcast, we're always calling him Pedro. But he's always called Almodóvar by everyone else, including all the film critics.
But we like to call people... We're women.
True.
And women always get called by their first name, right?
Yeah, more personal and demeaning.
Yeah, so... But I think most people, when they say Pedro, they mean Pedro Pascal, the Chilean actor.
No, we always mean Almodóvar. Pascal gets he can have his full name.
You would have to say the whole thing. I guess my history started... should I go chronologically?
Yeah.
Is that my frenemy at high school had Bad Education poster printed off and like glued to her homework diary.
Okay. Interesting choice.
And I feel quite weird about this period of my life because my current friend, when she like heard about this frenemy that I had in high school, who was like sort of like bullying me on and off and was like always sort of like gaslighting me or like getting really, really angry with me for like something very minor. And,
excited for the reveal that this is me.
No, she came to my birthday and she didn't say anything to me the whole time and there was only 4 people there.
Oh my God.
This sort of thing. But my friend now had like heard about all of this and then she saw my school yearbook and she was shocked. She was like, oh my God, I thought she was hot. I can't believe that you were bullied by this person.
Oh my God. Well, I mean, so far, so Almodóvar.
My friend thought that I was being bullied as a teenager by an incredibly hot East Asian girl. But I was bullied by an average-looking East Asian girl.
Oh, my God. Okay, so what's next in the history?
And then Volver was like always at the DVD shop.
Yes.
It was the cover of it made everyone think that it was that Frida Kahlo movie.
Yes.
That was like popular at the same time. They'd always be like, oh no, that's not it. Okay, skip forward 10 years. In 2016, I saw Julieta at the film festival just because that was like the first film festival where I saw like 10 films.
Yeah.
And I was just like, oh, I don't like it.
More on that later.
Yeah, more on that later. I didn't know who the director was. I'd been to Madrid and I was going back to Madrid again, so I was like, oh yeah, it's a Spanish movie. And then my honor supervisor was like really shocked that I didn't like it.
Oh.
That's that. Skip forward again.
I'm here. I'm skipped forward.
Skip forward again. I think something he became more into the public eye for some reason. Like internationally. I don't know, like more people just started talking about him. And then when I was in Spain 2 years ago, A Strange Way of Life was like playing everywhere. And I didn't see it because I was too nervous to go and ask for the ticket in Spanish. And so I saw it when I got home and then I watched it like 10 times. And then I had to go back and like get into the other ones. And then like there was a lot of movies I didn't know were directed by him.
Yes.
Like All About My Mother. Bad Education, all that.
I'm similarly a latecomer, and I think partially that's because I came to be like a film weirdo through a kind of a different means than I think a lot of people I know who are
What's this reveal gonna be?
No, it's just because I feel like a lot of people start out with like big popular classic movies. They're like, I love Spielberg. I love these movies. And then they
Oh, no. Yeah, I knew people like that at school and at uni. And, boring.
They're not... Amelia, disclaimer, I personally have nothing against those people. But then I think those people will then branch out to, more well-regarded foreign filmmakers, etc. Whereas...
Tenet.
I did not like those movies. But I got into movies by being into like freak shit, and like getting weird DVDs of B movies from the 60s from the warehouse. And so for a long time, anything that was like considered canon, I was kind of like, well, that's probably not that interesting to me because I was a bit of a wanker.
Same. I was just, retract.
Okay.
I don't think that's being a wanker. I think that, like, because at the time, it was, like, very... This was, like, in the mid-2000s. It was, like, very misogynistic, the sort of, like...
Oh, yeah, that's the other thing.
Stuff that was out there.
The whole culture
because, like, people would always say to me
macho.
that, like... Yeah, people would always say to me that I wasn't, like, a real film fan because I hadn't seen, like, more than 100 films from, like, 1,000 films you must see. Like, that sort of stuff, and, yeah, like everyone would watch like all of the Indiana Jones movies or like all the Star Wars movies or like stuff like that. And that was sort of at the time what was seen for young people as like being into film, right?
Yeah, and I think also like I'd add the kind of like Coppola, Scorsese kind of things.
Yeah. But I think that came like a little bit.
Yeah.
That was for like slightly older people than like 15.
Oh, yeah, sorry. I thought we were about 3 years older than that. All right.
No. Sorry. Yeah, and then like, yeah, first year of uni, everyone's like, I've just got to watch all the Godfathers again, or like, like always like telling girls like, oh, I can't believe you've never seen, I don't know, I can't remember, like Taxi Driver or something. But if you'd seen Dog Day Afternoon, they would be like, I don't know what that is.
Yeah, but so, yeah.
But, yeah. This is when I was at film school.
Yes.
And they were like, on the first day, someone was like, I can't believe you wore a dress. This is directing and writing.
Oh my God. Someone the other day was like, oh, my friend knows you from film school. And I was like, what the fuck? I didn't go to film school. Still trying to get to the bottom of that one.
Oh my
But so yeah, I was kind of like, yeah, because from my perspective, not having actually seen the movies, it seemed like it was just kind of like canon films, and I was like, that's probably not hugely exciting. And then so it was.
What do you mean canon films? Like canon in the world?
Like the canon of what's good, like the generally accepted to be the great.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
1001 movies you must see before you die.
Look, some great films in there. And so yeah, so it wasn't until later. It was actually the first one that I saw was Women on the Edge. Is it on the Edge? I thought it was on the Verge. Oh my god. Yeah, it is on the Verge. We got to fix up our notes.
I just. Okay, you're doing it.
Yeah.
It's because I read the Spanish title.
Ooh la la. So yeah, so
I'm gonna say all the Spanish titles now.
It was actually in lockdown. We were in the flat and we were all watching movies, and someone loved Women on the Verge of a Nervous Breakdown, so we all watched it. And I thought it was like pretty good, but it didn't like set a fire under me to make me watch all of his other films. That wasn't until you forced me to watch Strange Way of Life. And I was like, oh, this guy's kind of a freak.
Yeah, because I think if you've only seen Julieta, you don't think, oh, this guy's a freak. You're just like, oh, this guy doesn't really know what he's doing.
Yeah, and oh my god. And if you've only seen Women on the Verge of a Nervous Breakdown, you're like, oh, this is a particularly stylish and fun version of a European farce, which I've seen quite a few of. So I wasn't like, oh my god, this guy's a genius. And then yeah, Strange Way
from 1988.
Yeah. Yes, true. It was before all the other ones I'd seen. But yeah, Strange Way of Life, I was like, oh, this guy's kind of weird and is trying to do something. I should watch some other ones. And then I watched All About My Mother and Talk to Her and The Skin I Live In, and I was like hooked. I was pilled.
I'll put that in.
I was deep in the Almodóvar sauce. And that has kind of brought us to
2011.
To this. So like kind of the other reason that we did this is because it was a good excuse for me to set aside a bunch of time to watch more of his movies, because he's got so many. And you can't, I've got a job and stuff. I can't always just sit down and be like, I'm going to watch 4 Pedro Almodóvar movies this weekend.
I don't have a job that I have to show up at, but I'm also really bad at sitting down and watching a bunch of movies.
Well, you've got stuff to do.
Yeah, I have. Yeah, I mean, I have stuff to do, but I mean, I don't have the difficulty of having to like be somewhere at like 8 a.m.
Yes, true.
Several days a week.
All right, should we get into the movies?
Yeah.
Do you want to talk about Pepi, Luci, Bomb?
Pepi, Luci, Bomb's Spanish name is Pepi, Luci, Bomb y otras chicas del montón. And then the version I had was called Pepi, Luci, Bomb and Other Girls on the Heap, but apparently it's also called Pepi, Luci, Bomb and Other Girls Like Mom, which I think is a terrible title.
Big Almodóvar energy, though.
But none of them are like anyone's mum, I don't think.
Maybe
it's not about mums.
Maybe it's like a meta layer.
Yeah, in the way that Other Girls Like Mom, in the way that every mom is a girl. Take that, Barbie.
So I didn't see this one. So do you want to tell the listeners what this is about? And,
so
and
the
what
movie,
where it fits in the Almodóvar
this is his first
story.
movie. First movie.
It's his.
And it was filmed it took 2 years to film because they kept running out of money. And so the continuity is really bad especially because the actors were so young, is that the actress Alaska who played Bomb was 15 when they started and 17 when
Oh my
finished.
god.
So and they didn't make them keep their hair or anything. So sometimes there'll just be a scene where someone just starts like looking different. partway through. But and then there's some scenes where everyone's like heads cut off because the camera people didn't know what they were doing. That sort of stuff. I don't know, where did he get the money from? I'm just going to check where he got the money from.
Hey, do you want me to read? Do you want me to read to you from the book Almodóvar on Almodóvar?
Okay, you got a book.
From 1972 onwards, before making Pepi, Luci, Bomb, I'd shot a great deal of very short Super 8 movies.
It's first person.
It's Almodóvar on Almodóvar. In 1978, I also made my first full-length film, although I don't think that was widely released. Folle Tim. I'd moved to Madrid in 1968, but only after 3 years of living in a city I didn't know did I save up enough to buy a Super 8 camera. Okay, it doesn't say how it was financed.
Okay, I'll read this. The shooting was chaotic. It began in 1978 and lasted a year and a half. Due to the lack of financial means, it took an entire year to produce a film of only 50 minutes. This was insufficient for commercial distribution length. More money was needed, and backing from Pepón Coromina, a Catalan producer, allowed Almodóvar to add 30 more minutes of film, shot over the following 6 months of 1980. The film was blown up from 16mm to 35mm format to allow its theatrical release. The crew lacked experience and the cameraman cut off some heads, particularly during the general erections contest scene. The long and chaotic shooting created problems in continuity. When filming started, Alaska was 15. By the time filming wrapped, she was 17. The first scene when Pepi goes to answer the door to the policeman was shot in June 1979. She opened the door in December 1979, and they sat together in June 1980.
Good. From what you told me about this film, it's like a kind of it seems like one of those like early John Waters films where it's just like he got all of his gayest friends together, and then they kind of do a bunch of scenes. Yeah,
it's extremely chaotic. So it starts off with Pepi is like cutting out pictures from magazines to like glue in a scrapbook, and then there's a knock on the door and it's the police, and the police is like, I can see from an apartment on the other side of the road that you've got marijuana plants.
Bum bum.
And she's like, do you want to taste my pussy? And he's like, oh yeah, I'll go for it. But then he's like, I don't like doing that. I like fucking. And she's like, no, don't. I'm a virgin. And then he like does anyway.
Oh my god.
And he's like, I didn't think you were actually a virgin.
Oh my god.
And then she goes to a punk band's practice.
Good.
And she gets the punk band to like go and beat up the policeman, dressed in the like Madrileña traditional costumes, you know, like the folkloric singing and stuff. So they're all like singing and holding flowers and stuff. And then they get the policeman, they smash him up, and then the next day you see him in his house, and this guy is like, why did my twin have to be a policeman?
Sick.
And then so she like Pepi like tries to become friends with the policeman's wife, and she says, so she like tries to get close to her by being like, oh, what a lovely jumper, can you teach me how to knit one? And then she like comes over, and then she accidentally like pokes this woman Luci, and Lucy's like, ooh, and then Pepi's like, oh, you dirty bitch. You like being beaten up, don't you? And then Bomb comes over, and she's like, who's from the punk band, and she's like, I need to piss. And then they're like, yeah, just do it on Lucy's face. She fucking loves it.
Good.
And she does. The other notable...
Yeah, okay. And the other... I want to hear about the
other notable scene
contest.
is a general erection. So this is like... it's supposed to be some like a political satire on the election of like 1977, I think.
Good. Strong.
And so they're at this party, and then they just like, let's get everyone to get their dicks out, and then we're going to multiply the width by the length, and then whoever's got the biggest dick can do whatever they want to anyone at the party.
That is like politics.
And then the guy who wins, he's like, I want the policeman's wife.
Oh.
And everyone's like really jealous. And this is like the scene where there's like that, what I was telling you, there was that parallel scene where there's a woman with a beard.
Yes.
And she's like doing this really melodramatic monologue about having a beard and stuff. And then her boyfriend is just like watching the general erection contest out the window with his binoculars.
Rear window.
Rear window. And
do you want to hear another quote from the book?
Yeah.
So this is partially an answer to the question of, had you seen many films before making your own? Which is quite a funny question to me. Blah, 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 blah. The answer is yes. And then he goes on to say, from the start, I knew the priests had nothing to say to me. I recognised myself with equal conviction in Cat on a Hot Tin Roof, a film the church considered the apotheosis of sin. I'd say to myself, I belong to the world of sin, of degeneracy. I was 12 years old, and if someone asked me, what are you? I'd reply, a nihilist.
Well, apparently Almodóvar was the host of the general erection contest.
And his brother is in the audience.
I didn't notice. I have to go back. The other thing that happens is that Pepi is an heiress, and her dad calls up and is like, you need to get a job. I'm cutting you off. Because she's just like listening to records and smoking drugs all day and stuff. And like rubbing coke on her gums. And then she opens the newspaper and there's an ad for girls with imagination wanted to be advertising executives. So she goes and makes these ads, this like series of ads for this new kind of underwear that like if you fart then it smells like perfume. And if you piss in them, they just change colour. And you can also, like I said, you can just roll them up and do a wank with them. But the actress who does the ads is the lead actress from All About My Mother.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
We love that.
And Pepi is the lead actress from Women on the Verge of a Nervous Breakdown.
Yes, he loves working with his little like ensembles. That he actually is similar to John Waters, because I feel like if you say he's like John Waters, it's like, well, what, they're like both gay indie filmmakers, and it's like, no, they've got a few like,
no, it's not like that.
They've got a few things going on. The ensemble, the making freak pervert shit, and then moving into like more together commercial style films that are still kind of a little bit freak pervert. The extreme interest in melodrama, which I think we'll probably talk about later. All right, so I'm going to do a system for this episode.
Okay.
How out of 5 telephones being the best Almodóvar movie, 1 telephone being the worst Almodóvar movie, how many telephones are you giving Pepi Luci Bomb?
Oh, like 4?
Oh, wow. Okay. Sick.
4. There's a lot of telephones in it.
Hell yeah.
Beautiful telephones.
Beautiful telephones. Okay. Do we want to talk about Women on the Verge of a Nervous Breakdown?
It's a romance, but it's not about love. It's a comedy, but not everyone's laughing. It's a place where the one thing you can expect is the unexpected.
Llévenme al aeropuerto.
No puedo, he quedado.
He dicho que me lleve.
Women on the Verge of a Nervous Breakdown.
Yeah, because I watched it today for this.
Awesome.
Just because you watched it in the lockdown, it doesn't count.
Yeah, so
okay, well, I can talk about it as well.
we can all talk about it.
Oh, okay. I thought that you were like, I don't remember.
So this is skipping ahead quite a bit. This is 1988. And
It's only 8 years later, I guess. I don't know what was between these two. Do you know?
I mean, I've added one in that I have seen, Law of Desire.
Okay, yeah, I see that you've added that
I've added that in. I can actually read to you from the book, because the book only goes up to like, he was obviously well regarded enough before any of the really famous ones of his movies that he got this whole book. So Lucy Pepi Lucy Bomb, Labyrinth of Passion, Dark Habits that I really want to see.
Yeah, I want to see Dark Habits.
What Have I Done to Deserve This? Matador, which is apparently like the most fucked up one. Law of Desire, which is really good, but we don't have time to talk about all of his movies. And then Women on the Verge.
Okay, so there's quite a few, but we don't have time because we've got to go all the way up to 2025.
We got to do 40 years of cinema.
We're before our own births at the moment still. Okay.
I'm gonna read because each of the chapters in the book is about a different film, and they all have like a little summary of what's in the thing. Yep, and in the book, the summary we're given, which I think is more of the interview, but I think it works for the film. Theatricality, title sequences, design, colors, and earthly paradise.
Okay.
Or
is it a summary?
It's more of a list of words, but I think it works. So what happens in Women on the Verge of a Nervous Breakdown? Give us the elevator pitch.
Okay, so Pepi is now, the actress who plays Pepi is now playing it, and oh god, the actress who plays Pepi before is now playing Pepper, who was an actress.
Yes, and so Carmen Mora, who is this actress, is like one of Almodóvar's like it's one of his most well regarded collaborations.
And she was also in I Carmela, Commonwealth, and Volver, and others. Okay, so she is a voice actor, and she's in love with her just another actor that she works with, Ivan, but he's left her. She oversleeps because she keeps taking all these sleeping pills, and she like needs to give him this message, which I mainly forgot about while I was watching the film. I couldn't remember why she needed to see him so much. Just yeah. And then so Ivan has this. He appears to have this wife, and he's got a son who's an young adult son. And Pepper's saying that she's like gonna leave and she's gonna give up her apartment. She's gonna sublet her apartment. She makes this gazpacho that's like spiked with sleeping pills, and then she sets her bed on fire. She's freaking out, and then her friend has like left her all of these voice messages, and she's like, who cares? And she like picks up the phone and throws it out the window. She lives in this penthouse. She throws the answering machine out the window. She throws the phone out the window. And then her friend comes over and she's like, I gotta tell you something. It's really urgent. And then the Ivan's son, Carlos, played by Antonio Banderas, comes to sublet the apartment.
Oh my god.
Just as a coincidence. And everyone's like, oh, what a coincidence. And his girlfriend is Marissa, who is... What's Rossi's last name?
De Palma?
Rossi De Palma. And she's like, oh, this apartment's horrible. I don't want to be this high up in the air. And then she drinks the gazpacho and then passes out for like nearly the whole rest of the movie. And then the friend Candela is like, I have to tell you, I was like hanging out with this guy, and then he like brought I didn't hear from him, and then he came over, and then he like brought his mates, and then Pepper's like, oh my god, and they raped you. And then Candela's like, no, the problem is that they are the terrorists that the police are looking for.
Hell yeah.
And they are gonna hijack a flight to Stockholm tonight. And she I missed the important part. She tries to kill herself.
Yes.
She tries to jump off the balcony of the penthouse, and then they save her, and then she says that's what's going on. And then Carlos is like, why don't you go and talk to my dad's lawyer? And so Pepper like goes to the lawyer. The lawyer is a real bitch to her. And then the lawyer has tickets to Stockholm on her desk. Oh.
Dun, dun, dun.
And then with Marissa passed out, Carlos keeps like kissing Candela. It's really creepy. But she like ends up being into it, which is like classic.
Yeah.
And then Carlos's mum comes to shoot Pepper. And Carlos is like, oh yeah, she's not with my dad. She's just been released from an institution. And then it turns out that his dad is going out with a lawyer.
The one issue
and they keep
with
throwing stuff out the window.
One issue with Almodóvar movies is like they follow a slightly different logic to a lot of films. In that, like, lots of things happen.
Yeah.
And it's more that they're all like thematic echoes of each other. Like in this movie, it's like everyone wants to have a relationship with Ivan, who's like this distant voice, like detached voice. It's all about like people who everyone in the movie wants to have a relationship with someone who's like totally inaccessible. And that's like a thing that keeps happening, which like when you're watching the movie makes sense that this keeps happening. But when you're talking about what happens, you're like, and then this guy kisses this woman who's asleep. And then the lawyer is trying to go to Stockholm. And then the wife who was in a mental institution.
And then they all try their Gazpacho.
Yes.
And everyone's always trying to get drugs too.
Yes.
But you like get used to it. You're not like, oh no, they're all taking drugs. You're like, oh, he's not going to pay the street price.
But yeah, this one's more of like a straight ahead comedy than I think a lot of the other ones that we watched.
It's comedy.
And I think that's partly why it's like the most famous one. Like it's the one that you'll hear people talk about the most, or at least I do.
I think All About My Mother is the most famous one.
Yeah, I think that's, they're definitely close up there. But I think, like, in the less comedic ones, you have to kind of deal with the fucked up shit a bit more. You have to, like, think about it and sit with it.
I think that...
Whereas in Woman on the Verge, you're like, ah, she's got a gun, ah.
Oh, she's got 2 guns. Oh, and her eyeliner is terrible.
Oh, she tried to kill herself? Ah, ha, ha. Like,
oh, they'll pull it. They
figure
throw
it out.
so much stuff off that balcony.
It's so good.
And there's also the recurring character of the mambo taxi driver.
I love the mambo taxi driver.
Because
I feel
Pepper like has to take all these, because in this movie everyone just keeps being like, oh, you got to go talk to this person, and they're like, all right, well, I'll just pop downstairs and get a taxi. And she gets the same taxi driver 3 times, who's like this guy with like this very puffy bleached hair, and it's called Mambo Taxi, and he like plays mambo music, and they have like magazines to rent and like tissues and stuff, and then she's like, oh, you don't have any eye drops, and then the next time she gets a taxi he's got eye drops.
Oh. It's so good. And I think something that we should state at this point is that all of these movies look very beautiful. Everyone's houses are like painted bright colors and are filled with beautiful plants and shit and like ceramics.
But it's interesting how like sort of dull the older films look compared to the new ones, because the new ones are just so bright.
Yes. Well, you got the the limits of 1988 technology.
The limits of cameras, but also like I think also there is like kind of obvious a limitation, like the limitation of budget, but also the limitation of what was accessible at that time.
Totally.
This is like pre-EU and stuff. Like, and I think some of the set dressing is like obvious that that's what they could get. Yeah,
for sure. Would you like to give a telephone rating to Women on the Verge? Out of 5 telephones.
That's hard because I don't like it as much as Pepi, Luci and Bon.
Yeah, to me this is a 3 telephone.
3 telephones.
Okay. Fantastic.
But I also think it's really good. So 3 sounds really low, but...
Well, it's on the Almodóvar scale.
It's on the Almodóvar scale. It's not on the movie scale.
No. Most movies don't even rate a 1 telephone, honestly. All right.
Not even 1 telephone.
Not even 1.
Oh my God. Okay.
Okay. All right. We're on to Tie Me Up, Tie Me Down. and I got you to watch this.
Yeah.
Because I wanted you to see at least one where Antonio Banderas is like a real freak. Because one thing that really struck me when watching Almodóvar movies after growing up with Antonio Banderas is like hunky, quiet leading man is that Almodóvar always casts him as like the most psycho freak ever. Women on the Verge of a Nervous Breakdown, it's a bit toned down, although he does make out with a sleeping woman a lot.
Yeah, I didn't recognize him either.
No, well, in Law of
because he's like he doesn't. I don't know if it's the costuming or not, but he doesn't look very in shape.
No,
which I think that like if you're familiar with him from his work in Hollywood, then you're expecting something different.
Yeah, well, in Law of Desire, he plays like a demonic twink. And he's like very skinny.
Oh, you're not allowed to say twink anymore.
What? Why?
Yeah.
Me specifically?
No, all people. This is the new discourse.
Okay. In Law of Desire, he plays a demonic, extremely skinny, youthful-looking gay man. Who like just goes around ruining people's lives. And I was like, wow. I never knew that Antonio Banderas was capable of this. But he's back in Tie Me Up, Tie Me Down. His character has just been released from a like psychiatric institution. And
yeah, because they tell him, they're like, you know what, the judge says you can go free. And he's like, oh, great.
Yeah, it really makes it seem like he was kind of out on a technicality.
Yeah.
And he's got one mission, which is to find love. Specifically, he wants to track down this woman that he slept with when he was like had escaped briefly.
Yeah, and she was
a porn actress, played by Victoria Abril. And so basically he like tracks her down on the set of this like weird horror movie that she's making and follows her to her flat and then like ties her up in this like elaborate bondage knot. Yeah. And then the whole movie is basically like her tied up, kind of trying to escape, and then him trying to get her like headache pills and all kinds of like stupid nonsense.
Yeah, because the thing is that he like punches her when he's like trying to tie her up, and then it like breaks her tooth, but then she can't have like she already had like a toothache or something, and she can't have regular pills from it because she used to be a junkie.
Yes, that's right.
And so they like have to like go and get her a prescription from this doctor who is the same actress who's played Candela, who jumped off the terrace in Women on the Verge. And then he's like handcuffs himself to her and like takes her out and tries to like get her pills and stuff. And he also tries to buy some from Rossi de Palma on a motorbike this time.
And I don't think it's really a real spoiler to say that, like, because I think it's kind of the topic of the film, that they develop a kind of relationship over the course of this bondage.
Yeah, because I thought that was interesting because this is the Stockholm Syndrome, and the previous movie was people going on a hijack plane to Stockholm.
And also in the movie there's this whole kind of side plot about the film that she's trying to make, and it like there's lots of stuff with the director who is kind of like,
the director's a real creep.
Yeah, I think the director is meant to be like a parody of Almodóvar because he's like this kind of weird lecherous guy, and people keep being like, I thought you made like good movies, why are you making the second-rate horror movie?
Yeah.
Like where someone just like
he's had a stroke and he's in a wheelchair.
Yeah, and he's like, I like second-rate horror movies. Why would I not want to make one? But is it a horror movie or is it really a romance? And you're like, wow.
And his wife is played by the actress that was Antonio Banderas' mom in Women on the Verge.
Very, very annoyingly, to go back to my special book.
Sorry.
Annoyingly, the interviewer is mainly just like is mainly just interested in why he worked with Victoria Abril and didn't do another Carmen Maura film. And so there's like a whole... Yeah.
She doesn't... I think Carmen Maura is quite a lot older than Victoria Abril.
Well, let me say, Tie Me Up, Tie Me... Should I do a Spanish accent? No. Tie Me Up.
The Spanish name is Atame.
Tie Me Up, Tie Me Down was a film for a young actress, younger than Carmen. But it's not, of course...
that's what I said.
But it's not, of course, the only explanation for the end of our collaboration, because, of course, this was written before they did more movies together later.
Yeah.
After Women on the Verge, our relationship became impossible for personal reasons.
Oh.
And it continues to be so. It has something to do with the intense way I work with actors. My relations with Carmen entered non-professional areas. It caused us both a great deal of pain. It's a long story. ...
Oh God, Pedro.
Honestly, a lot of this interview book, some of it's really good, but a lot of it is like, why do you work with a different cinematographer for this? And Pedro Almodóvar's
because we hated each other.
Yeah, or just like, I just felt like I should do this one with a different guy.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, I think it's fine.
I was like, yeah, I felt like I should try out a different cinematographer, but on a personal level.
But on a personal level.
My heart was filled with blackness.
One thing I find really interesting about Tie Me Up, Tie Me Down that I tried to find other people talking about, but I didn't, is like... So one thing that's interesting about Almodóvar movies is that he's obsessed with like referencing other films and other filmmakers.
Yeah.
And so like Law of Desire has a whole thing where they stage a stage play that's like a Jean Cocteau stage play. And then also there's like a Jean Cocteau reference in Tie Me Up, Tie Me Down to a bit in Orpheus. But this whole movie is like so obviously a Phantom of the Opera bit to me that I'm like,
right, I didn't think of that.
Why is no one talking about this? He even hides in the studio. He's like hiding in the studio and putting on a wig and stuff.
I was confused. Well, you messaged me then, so then I was looking at my phone, and when I looked back at the screen, Antonio Banderas was upside down doing a handstand wearing a wig.
Yeah. and the thing that ends up developing their relationship is that he has this special like preternatural talent for art. Yeah. It's Phantom of the...
He draws her this timeline of his life, and then the end of the timeline is her.
It's Phantom of the Opera, and I think everyone should be talking about that. Because also the skin I live in, which I'd love to talk about, but I can't describe what happens in the movie without like ruining.
Is this the 2011 one?
Yes. This is where Antonio Banderas is a freak pervert scientist who's trying to create a fireproof skin.
This reminds me of the Shrouds.
Oh, yes, it's have slight Shrouds energy, but it's very like Eyes Without a Face, the French horror movie. It's like
the song.
A very obvious reference to it. The poster is like a reference to it. So
yeah,
and also the song, of course, the song.
I have more stuff to say about this, but I'm gonna say it when we're talking about the relevant movie.
Okay, Tie Me Up, Tie Me Down. I think it's maybe 4 telephones for me.
For me, it's 2 telephones.
All right.
I don't like it when it was too straight.
Yes.
And it was a bit too serious for me.
I think the thing that I like about it is I'm just a sucker for all of that like metatextual, intertextual shit. So I was just like eating my delicious Amelia dinner for watching Tie Me Up, Tie Me Down.
It reminded me of Batman. Like the styling of it, the Batman movie that came out in 1989, the same year.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Okay. I will say I do think it's better if you. I watched it immediately after seeing Law of Desire, and I think they're a nice double feature for evil gay Antonio Banderas and then evil heterosexual Antonio Banderas. I think Law of Desire is kind of is kind of more interesting, but it's really fucked up. So I kind of don't want to get into all the stuff that happens.
The order that I watched, the ones I watched for this podcast in, I watched Pepi, Luci and Bomb first, and then I watched All About Your Mother, and then I watched Women on the Verge, and then I watched Tie Me Up, Tie Me Down.
Oh,
so it became progressively like more serious and less gay.
Yeah, that would have, I think, taken away from the effect.
Tie Me Down. I was like, is there no transsexual people at all?
Where's the tall, big-breasted transsexual? Even in Parallel Mothers, there's like a tall, big-breasted transsexual woman, and she's not even like related to the plot of the movie. She just shows up. Okay. Let's talk about one of my all-time favorite movies, and my favorite Almodóvar film, All About My Mother.
Anoche mamá me enseñó una foto de cuando era joven. Le faltaba la mitad. No quise decírselo, pero a mi vida también le falta ese mismo trozo. Algún día tendrás que contármelo todo sobre mi padre. No basta que me digas que murió antes de que yo naciera.
No es un asunto fácil de contar.
Me imagino. Si no, ya me lo habrías contado.
Hace 17 años hice este mismo trayecto. También venía huyendo. Entonces huía de su padre. Y ahora voy en su busca.
All About My Mother is about a woman who is raising a son by herself, a teen boy, and she loves him more than anything, and he's like really sweet and precocious and outgoing, and then he suddenly dies. And so she has to go on a quest to tell the boy's, big inverted commas, father, who is actually...
It's not a road trip movie.
It's not a road trip. They cut out the travel.
She goes on the Renfe for like 1 second.
Yes. She goes to a different city because she needs to find the boy's, again, heavy inverted commas, father.
She goes from Madrid to Barcelona.
Yes. But the father is actually a trans woman, and she goes basically to find her. She goes and hangs out with all of her old friends who are all kind of like kooky trans people.
Yeah.
And then there's a whole other thing where Penelope Cruz is a nun who lives with her.
Can I just say that the lead character, Manuela, is a transplant nurse.
Yes.
And so she has to train people how to deal with the like grieving families of people who are eligible to be organ donors. And then it happens to her son, and the whole thing is that her son is they go to see the play A Streetcar Named Desire, and her son really wants the signature of the actress playing Blanche called Uma. And she says no, and then he like runs after her in the rain, and then the car hits him. That's important.
Yeah.
It's like the whole thing. And then when Manuela is in Barcelona, she goes to watch, because it's like a touring performance, so she goes to watch the play again, and then she like gets herself backstage. And she like winds up becoming like Uma's assistant.
Yeah.
And then she like, because she originally met Lola when they were in an amateur performance of A Streetcar Named Desire, so she already knows the part. And then there's this whole thing because Uma and the other actress, what's her name? Nina is a heroin addict, and she keeps like just not showing up or being, like shooting up between scenes and stuff. And then she doesn't come one day, and then Manuela's like, I'll do the part. Which is like crazy.
I don't think that's the only Almodóvar film with that explicit.
Yeah, this is what I was going to say with the metatextual references, is that when the woman with a beard does this speech in Pepi, Luci and Bomb, she is like also in the style of the speech that Blanche does in Streetcar Named Desire.
That's actually one of my like favorite movie tropes, is where someone has to step in and be like, I'll do the lead.
Yeah, but that's wild that they would have it in this movie.
I know,
like,
I know.
In this kind of movie.
Yeah, I think
not
it's
like a
yeah.
Netflix or like, you know, like a 90s TV show.
Well, that's what The Boyfriend is about, which is one of my favorite movies.
Like, I've been learning lines the whole time.
But I think it's
evil.
I think
You're
it's
trying to take my part.
I think it's worth noting as well that we've skipped ahead to 1999 now, and Almodóvar is kind of like, I think this is like, for the films we're talking about, this is the start of his like modern phase.
The modern era, yeah.
Because they're tonally and also like production wise quite different. They're much more interested in melodrama, and they're much more cleanly put together movies.
Yeah.
Like Tie Me Up, Tie Me Down, Women on the Verge and stuff. It's a lot of like crazy hijinks and like running around and weird stuff. And this one is like, you can tell why it is the other famous one.
Yeah, and I think that this one is the first one where we get that like sort of clunky expository dialogue that we like see in his like new films.
Yeah, it's it's very much, he's decided that doing a kind of like hyper real take on classic melodrama is like very interesting to him, and he's kind of throwing all.
I think that somehow, despite everything that we've said, the acting before this film is like more natural.
Oh yes, yeah.
Even though the situations are much like more intense and just sort of just like, insane all the time.
Yeah, it's like
now that it's more controlled, but the dialogue is like, why would anyone say that?
But I think one thing that really comes out in this movie that I think was a part of all of the previous movies as well is like his kind of extreme empathy for all of the characters in his movies, no matter like what they've been up to. So the situation. Sorry. So in the Almodóvar book, and this is the last time I'm talking about it.
Okay.
In Tie Me Up, Tie Me Down, he talks about how he really relates to Antonio Banderas' character because he felt so lonely, and he was like, and I needed I needed a family, and I had to like build a weird one of my own. And I think you could watch Tie Me Up, Tie Me Down, and be like, Antonio Banderas' character is a despicable villain, but also the film obviously like really feels for him and kind of wants to understand.
Yeah, I see it.
Yeah.
But in that film, when I was watching that film, I was like, oh my God, is this the only way that you can like find someone these days, is to like just get kidnapped by them?
They didn't have Tinder.
People don't use Tinder anymore, Amelia.
Oh, sorry. I'm married. But yeah, I mean,
I wanted to say
okay,
that I think the thing that we're missing here is that Penelope Cruz playing the nun
yes,
has to leave the nunhood because she's pregnant with this happens at the beginning of the movie, with Lola's baby.
Yes,
the father of, inverted commas, father of Manuela's son who's died. And Lola and Manuela moved to Spain together because they're Argentinian.
Yes.
And they were like married, and they owned like a beach cafe. And then Lola was like, I'm going to be sort of an evil transsexual now. And I'm going to get... They keep saying pints of silicone.
Yes. But I think, I mean, what really moved me about All About My Mother was that the empathy that it has for Lola, even though she
Lola
kind of
sucks.
Even though Lola has done this like fucked up shit, she's like, she feels like a kind of a real person you might know, and it honestly, and
it's not like anyone I know,
and I don't know, it really touched me, the relationships in this movie, how kind of like non-judgmental the filmmaking is,
Yeah. Because Lola is out, transmitting HIV to people.
Oh my God,
stealing people's money. She stole all of Agrado. That's the other main trans character. It's money. Got a young nun pregnant. Ditched her first wife. All this sort of stuff. But still, you're like, oh, poor Lola.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think, because I remember ages ago when we were talking about May December, we were talking about how, like, people kind of freak out at movies that don't, like, have a very didactic moral.
Yeah.
And I think, but whereas I think, and this, look, I don't know what Todd Haynes is thinking, but I feel like in May December, he's mainly, like, fascinated by the characters. He's just like, this is really interesting. I feel like Almodóvar is like, I love these people and they're all my horrible family.
Oh, I think that when Penelope Cruz's character is speaking to her dad and her mum, they are speaking in Catalan, not in Spanish, and I just thought that I couldn't hear properly.
Yes, I actually...
I'm sorry, it's not in...
Sorry, I thought you were going to be like, actually, Amelia, you're wrong. And
No. I just have the Wikipedia open. But I think that, like, I don't want to say what happens at the end, but the editing at the end is crazy. Like, there's just some stuff with, like, don't worry, you'll be just fine, and then, like, cuts to a funeral.
Yes.
And then there's some stuff where it's like, I'm leaving this place, and then there's a thing that's like 2 years later, and it's like, I'm coming back. But that felt like more classic Almodóvar, because I mean, it's more what we're used to.
And I feel like that's a kind of like almost like a soap opera thing or something like. And
the Wikipedia says that the car crash scene is a replication of the scene in Opening Night.
Oh,
John Cassavetes, which I haven't seen that film, but they were showing it at Academy, and they were showing the trailer like all the time, and these like 1970s trailers are so long and slow.
I've got to admit, I mean, you admitted that thing about David Lynch. I've got to say, I've not enjoyed any of the Cassavetes films I've seen, but I haven't seen Opening Night, so maybe I'll check it out.
I don't know if I've seen. I'm gonna have a look. But yeah, I didn't want to see it because I just think that style of trailer is just so outdated that it made me not. It's like the film of the summer, Opening Night. Okay, what Shadows Too Late, Blues, Charles Waiting, Faces, Husbands, Minnie Moskovitz, Women Under the Influence. No, I haven't seen any of those movies.
Wow. Write in
Sorry.
if you want one or both of us to watch specifically any Cassavetes movies. Change my mind. I'm genuinely ready for that. All right. All About My Mother is 5 telephones for me.
4 telephones for me.
All right. I only want to talk to her kind of briefly.
Which Amelia wrote Talk Tuah, like Hawk Tuah in the show notes.
I'm cheeky. It's so this one.
She doesn't have to worry about anything because she's married.
So this one's from 2002, and on the Wikipedia it says that it's considered his magnum opus, and I think it's definitely a very well regarded, really well put together film. I think it's a lot.
I didn't know this film.
It's a lot more difficult than All About My... It's like stylistically feels similar to All About My Mother, but it's much more difficult for reasons that will become apparent when I tell you what happens in it. So it's about this journalist who falls in love with a matador, and then...
And what year is this?
This is 2002.
Okay, sorry.
So this journalist falls in love with this matador, and then she gets gored by a bull and ends up in a coma. And so and so the bulk of the movie is him hanging out with her while she's in a coma, and he makes friends with this this male nurse / beautician.
Okay. The hospital theme comes up quite a lot.
Hospitals, stage plays, mums, they're everywhere. And also comatose women.
Because there's a hospital in Pepi and there's a hospital in All About My Mother.
But yeah, so he makes friends with this this nurse / beautician who is kind of special project as this other woman who's in a coma. And so they just like hang out reading to these two women who are in comas.
Okay.
And then this one, I think the kind of I'm going to say the thing that happens, and you can just watch the movie anyway. Grow up. Don't
tell me to grow up.
I'm not telling you to grow up.
The listeners.
I'm telling imaginary naysayers to grow up.
Okay.
Is that it turns out that this nurse had been pretending to be gay, so no one would assume that he was in love with the comatose woman.
And then
they find out that the woman has become pregnant.
Oh no!
And he gets like, yeah. So
oh no.
Yeah, and it's a really interesting movie because it's like about this male friendship that turns out to be like between a kind of normal guy and a psycho monster.
And a pervert.
Yeah.
A criminal pervert.
And it's really interesting because you then kind of spend all this time with the journalist guy kind of getting to grips with like what the hell was going on in his life. Yeah, so it's a very
okay. And who are the actors in this?
Then Javier Camara, Dario Grandinetti, Geraldine Chaplin, Lenora Watling. I think are the main ones. Dario turns up in Julieta as well. I was going to say there aren't any kind of main players, but he's in it. He's in a few of the later ones.
I guess this is how like I didn't end up reading this Wikipedia page because I got to them all by like clicking through to the actors on the other ones.
Oh yes. But yeah, I think it's a very interesting and troubling film.
Is that it?
And I give it 3.5 telephones.
Oh, I just read what happens at the end by accident.
Yeah.
Okay, I forgot to add something earlier.
Okay.
Is that the reason why, I said people were talking about Almodóvar more, and then I couldn't remember why?
Yes.
I said he was more in the public conscious, but then I didn't think that was true, and then I didn't know what to say. What my favorite reality TV show is Drag Race Spain.
Oh, was he a guest judge?
No, they did, but they love him, and a lot of the drag acts.
Oh, they dress as the characters?
They had a runway like just of his characters, and a lot of the drag queens are like very influenced by him or his female characters, and so just like they talk about it a lot, or when they do acting challenge, they might do like a spoof of one of these scenes or whatever. And so I was just hearing about him. I was hearing about him all the time because I was engaging with gay Spanish media.
Yeah.
More.
Yes.
Me.
Okay.
It wasn't the world.
Fair enough.
And especially like when I see these older films I hadn't seen before, like so many of the costumes and stuff, I'm like, oh, that's exactly like what these drag queens dress like. The older ones. Not the... Yeah, so I think there's in like American drag, how the older ones have these like John Waters...
Yeah.
Like Golden Girls, depending on age, like sort of references. And then the younger ones are like, I'm sexy.
Yeah. I love Auntie
So it's
Mame.
like the same thing.
I love Dior.
Yeah, it's the same thing in Spain. The older ones are like, I'm dressed as a businesswoman working at an advertising agency. And then the younger ones are like, My name is Versace. And I don't know why we have to do this challenge.
All right. I'm going because we just made a big list. The skin I live in, I think
That's the one with the fireproof skin.
Yes. Talk to her. I don't think like really relies. It's not like about twists.
Did you say
or
2.5?
What?
Did you say 2.5 for talk to her?
3.5.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Talk to her doesn't really. The reason I felt comfortable talking about the plot is that I feel like it's more about the dramatic journey.
Yeah, I feel the same with all of them pretty much.
Whereas The Skin I Live In is like one of those movies where you're like, oh my God, what the fuck is happening now?
Right.
So I didn't want to talk about the plot really, but I'm giving it 4 telephones with quite a big trigger warning for sexual assault and cooked gender stuff.
Okay. 'Cause there's sexual assault in most of them.
Yeah.
But most of it is like kind of fine in the context.
Yeah, not so much in The Skin I Live In.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, that's why we didn't mention it.
Yeah.
Warning before. It's a bit hectic in Pepi, Luci and Bomb, but that movie is like so sexual anyway.
Yes. All right. Do you have anything to say about Julieta?
I can't remember what happens in it. Can you just give like a really brief? Oh, but your rundowns never have any information in them.
Well, piss off. I can give a longer one if you want. I personally prefer an elevator pitch. But okay. Julieta is a film about a woman who lives in Madrid, and she is about to move to Portugal with her boyfriend. They're like older people, maybe in their 50s. Then she bumps into like a young woman who's like, oh, I saw your daughter. She was being a bit weird, but she seems well. Like, just tell her hi from me next time you see her. And then the woman, Julieta, has like a mental breakdown and is like, I'm not moving to Portugal. I have to move back into my old apartment in Madrid, and I have to write down my life story for my daughter, who it turns out is totally estranged from me. And it turns out her life story involves meeting a married man on a train, but his wife is sick, and so she goes to visit him, but then his wife dies and they fall in love, and then she goes to visit her dad, but her mum has dementia, so her dad has a new girlfriend. That basically setup happens over and over again in the movie.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like about the journey to how she became estranged from the daughter, which involves like people dying and people being gay and all kinds of stuff. But it's very long and meandering.
It's really, really long, and she has bad hair in a lot of it.
Yeah, it's kind of a shame having seen it after seeing all these 80s movies, because a lot of it is set in the 80s.
But somehow doesn't capture it.
No, it's like it's almost there, but it feels a bit wrong.
It doesn't feel like someone who it was made by someone who was working in the 80s.
Yeah.
And was making like this content. It's a film that like the 80s, it's like as if it were the 80s from the perspective of someone who wasn't there.
Yeah, it's very it's just a little bit flat, and I think none of the stuff that you don't think about in an Almodóvar movie is as good, in a way that kind of makes it distracting. Like, we haven't talked about like the camera work in any of these movies, because it's largely like, it's not particularly flashy or anything.
But like I said before, the editing is usually really fast, and the editing in this is slow.
The editing is slow. It does a lot of like crane shots that make it feel a bit like Lifetime movies.
Or just like shots of like streets and shadows and people sort of like walking around.
Yeah.
Whereas like the earlier work is like, taxi, Oh, it's me, the Mambo taxi man. Anyway, oops, got to get out of this lawyer's. Oh, no, she's got the same boyfriend as me. Oh, well, you're a bitch. I'm going to jump out the window now.
Yeah, but I think
Who left this elevator door open?
I think I liked it more than you, and I think maybe I had the context of these other films to kind of like
But I was
have a bit more of
24.
a way into it.
When I saw it.
Also, I found the ending really unsatisfying.
I was 10 years younger.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So I'm giving it 1 telephone.
I'm giving it 1 telephone.
All right. Parallel Mothers I watched
What
because you
is
complained
this?
that
What is the Spanish name of Parallel Mothers?
it's like Madre Paralela or something.
Oh my god. Just because I'm just interested because some of them are quite different.
Tell me it's not. It is.
Yeah. Madres Paralelas.
Yeah, I got it. I watched this because you were complaining that I'd only seen weird ones and not the famous ones. And Parallel Mothers is very... This is another one where I don't want to talk about too much of what happens because it's kind of like a plot-driven thriller for half of it. But it's about Penelope Cruz and this... Oh my god, what is the younger? Milena Smith.
Yanis and Anna.
Yes. Named after Janis Joplin.
So it's Janice. Is it Janice in the movie?
It's Janice. So they're basically, they share a hospital room when they're giving birth. And Janice is like a successful, like late 30s photographer, like editorial photographer. And Anna is like 18 or something. And
Janice is like a new name because most of them have the same names.
Yes.
The characters all just have the same names as each other.
Yeah, no, Janice is new because her mum was a hippie. And so partly it's a story about Janice and Anna and their kind of intersecting lives, and some fucked up stuff happens with their babies and also their relationship with each other, which is the thriller plot that I don't want to talk about too much.
Yeah.
But then there's also a whole other plot line where Artura, the father of Janice's baby, is a forensic anthropologist who does digs.
Who I can see is like excavating a mass grave in Janice's hometown, and that's how they met.
They meet because she's photographing him for a magazine, and she's like, by the way, can you excavate this mass grave for me?
Yes.
Because the government's cut all funding to historical memory, as the captions had it. But we need closure because all of the anti-fascists in our village got murdered by Franco's troops, and they're all buried. We know where they're buried because one guy wasn't dead, and he crawled out and he told everyone what happened and who was murdered and where they were. So that's kind of set up at the start, and then kind of like 2/3 of the way through the movie, or maybe even more than that, the other plot lines kind of just all resolve, and it becomes like it becomes
This is typical.
Yeah, it becomes like, because this is a truly extremely stressful movie. It's like some really gnarly and unexpected stuff happens, and people like are not saying things that they should be saying, and then there are a couple of like fights about fascism where Janice is like, you should fucking ask your dad like what he was doing and what your family were doing in the war, because like this country is like built on the graves of hundreds of thousands of brave men who were killed for trying to make you free, kind of stuff. And then at the end it's just like, we're going to go interview old people and do a grave excavation. Which was kind of a shock. It's a shocking tonal twist, but it's also very moving, and it's like way more explicitly political than his other films, because a lot of them have. And I think if we were Spanish, there would be a lot more stuff. Like, I think when you were saying that those characters were talking in Catalan, I think he's very interested in things like that.
Yeah, well, I think it was also relevant that Lola and Manuela were Argentinian.
Yeah, absolutely.
I was going to say that for the context, the Spanish context is that Franco, the dictator, died in 1975.
Yes.
So that's just only 3 years before Pedro started making... I can't keep the name in my head. It's so hard. Before he started making Pepi, Luci, and Bomb.
Yeah.
There was like sort of like a cultural sexual revolution, because before that they were living in like a very strict sort of military dictatorship.
Yeah, and it's
where they were routinely the police were routinely assaulting trans people and drag queens and putting them into prison. Like they would come around, they would do raids like at the shows and stuff.
Not to mention all the other shit that you get when you've got a fascist government. So it's
I know, but just in
the Almodóvar specific context. But I feel like that is kind of an underlying thing in a lot of his films that's easy to forget, because I feel like for a lot of the rest of the world, like World War II ended and this whole other thing started, whereas in Spain you had like the long hangover of Franco.
Yeah, for 30 years after that.
Yeah.
There was no sort of like, other Western countries, like what they were going through, like socially, politically in the 60s didn't happen.
Yeah. It had happened in the 80s with all Pedro's movies. Sexual freedom and all of that. But yeah, I found the ending, I think it's weird because it's very like straightforward, sentimental and earnest in a way that his other movies aren't.
Oh, okay.
And I think if it was anyone else doing it, or it had any other first 2/3, I would be like, oh, this is like...
Twee, wouldn't you?
Yeah, I mean, it feels bad to say because it's very, like, important, but it's, that doesn't always come across in a movie. Sometimes it can come across as a little bit dewy-eyed or whatever.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
But I found it very powerful and moving. And it like really drove home the importance of these, like, because I think people talk about like found families in his movies a lot, and people think of it as like just a gay thing. But I think
Antonio Banderas shows us that you can be a found family with the woman you kidnapped.
Yeah.
And her sister.
Yeah.
And you can all sing a song together.
Not all singing. But I think this kind of drives home that it's also like, no, families can be destroyed by the state, and they often are destroyed by the state. And building new futures is kind of like a thing we all have to do if we want to live in a world together that can understand the past and can move beyond the past.
People do sing songs like that, like they do in the movies. They do sing like that in Spain.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Someone sings a song in like every one of these movies.
Yeah, because that's normal for them. I think that I just wanted to point that that's not really a stylistic thing. They do that.
Oh, I thought that was like a little affectation. I'm going to say it, no. It's normal.
They're like, oh, okay, what a day. Oh, my town, the beautiful place.
I'm giving Parallel Mothers 3 telephones.
Okay.
And we've already talked about Strange Way of Life and Room Next Door on the pod.
Yeah, which takes us to the present day.
Yes.
But I think that, like, talking again about The Room Next Door, you can see not really so much. I don't know if I would say this about the plot, but the other aspects of the film, you can really see them, like, sort of trending in that direction.
Which direction?
Like, I don't know how to explain it now. The Room Next Door doesn't seem like a step sideways in any way at all to me, I don't think.
No, I think the way that people talked about it was very
it's like the characters are now even more sort of like whole and like separate from each other. The colors are brighter, the shots are like more even, the pacing is really even,
Yes.
but it's still like really weird.
It is still really weird. I thought you were going to talk about how it's also like has kind of more of an earnestness and like a
It does have
reflection.
more of an earnestness, and it's not funny.
No. Oh, there are a couple of funny bits, but yeah, overall.
Yeah, I was thinking of the funny bit where she says, like, can you sign it? Julianne Moore's signing books, and the person in the queue was like, can you sign it to my girlfriend and say I'm sorry? And Julianne Moore's like, yeah. Ooh, we've all been there.
But yeah, it is interesting to see like, kind of, yeah, this like funny little progression through the movies where every so often he takes like a major detour. Like the skin I live in does not feel like it's in a straight line from Talk to Her and Julieta. He's just like, I'm going to do something really fucked up for this one.
Because I don't want to say that it like the Room Next Door was like a full like realization of these goals or whatever. It just seems like it continues the trends that he's started.
Yeah, well, I think there's like, and this is going to lead us into our segment. There are very specific things that he's interested in talking about and showing, and I feel like if you've got those things that you just want to keep coming back to, you do kind of like, when you do come back to them, they feel like refined in some way each time you come back to it.
Yeah, I would say that the later works definitely feel more refined. I wouldn't, but they're not necessarily worse. It's not like, I want to say like with the career of Wes Anderson, the newer films are much more refined, but they can often feel a bit more hollow.
Yeah, well, I feel like he's leaned into a very specific thing, and to me that was always a peripheral aspect of what I liked about his movies.
But he leaned into it really, really hard. But I don't think it's the same with Almodóvar.
No.
He is still trying to say stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. And I feel like, which Wes Anderson I do not think is. Yeah, nah, fuck it. I don't think Wes Anderson is trying to say anything anymore. Look at my little dollhouse.
But people really thought that he was saying a lot of stuff with Asteroid City, but I don't think he was really saying anything other than like, when people die, it's sad.
Yeah, and I felt that, look, we can't, I don't think we can get into all that. I found the framing devices didn't actually speak to the themes of the movie very well. It was just like,
but I think in a way sometimes we can be so removed from the aesthetics and desires of the American people.
True.
That you can sort of watch these movies that like people that you sort of have sense of trust or respect for as critics really like, and you're like, this is fucking bullshit.
I mean, I think that definitely becomes more pronounced with something as like stylized as a Wes Anderson movie, where it's like you really like, it draws a thinner and thinner line, and you find yourself like falling off the side.
Yeah, which I think is like, interesting. I think it's interesting as native English speakers, not from a major English speaking country, is that you can kind of get tricked into thinking that American films represent the culture that you live in because it's the same language.
Yeah, totally.
Whereas when you watch a foreign film with subtitles, you sort of have that barrier straight away that you know this is like not real life to you.
Yeah.
Because you can't understand what the people are saying. Like, I think that sort of like puts you in a different position, but in a lot of ways, like the lives we live here and for you in Australia are more close to living in Spain than living in LA.
Yeah, and I mean, we found that as well when we watched all of those Aki Kaurismäki movies. We're like, the Finns kind of have a similar vibe to New Zealand.
Yes. Sorry, I thought that you were talking about the Japanese films.
Oh, see, it got you now.
Yeah, I know. Because I always think, well, because I'm going to Japan again, I feel like Japan is like not that different to New Zealand.
Okay.
This is what I said about the first time I went to Japan, is that Amelia might be going to Japan as well.
I'm planning on it.
One of the most sort of significant things to me was that I think that in New Zealand we do have as many rules as they do in Japan, except we maintain all of our rules as implicit.
Yeah.
And they will just give you a list. And that's the thing that causes people to think that Japan is like so organized. Japan has so many rules and stuff. It's just because they are explicit, and that's like the sort of social agreed communication style.
They're like, no, I will tell you. Like
here we have so many like social rules and stuff that you just have to know.
Yeah, which I think is why people sometimes think people from New Zealand are kind of cold.
Yeah, because I think, you know, when you meet people from other countries, you're like, oh, that wouldn't fly.
Yeah,
wouldn't fly.
Yeah. Sorry, you didn't offer that in a kind of like self-deprecating way, and so
yeah.
I now think you're a dick.
When you came to the house, you didn't ask about the shoes.
So that's the end of our list of movies, and I think the way that we did it, I think usually if we were going to do another one of these, I'd probably want to focus on like a couple of movies and just talk about them for ages. But one thing I found when I was reading about Almodóvar to try and find out what movie to watch next kind of thing is that everyone disagrees on what his best movies are.
That's what I think was the benefit of doing it in this order, is that I don't think that there's like a couple of films that I really wanted to promote to the listeners.
Yeah.
I just don't think that his sort of filmography is like these main ones, and then there's like a couple of other ones.
No, it's really like, what kind of thing are you interested in? What kind of sounds exciting to you? That's probably the one that will
serious? Do you want something like totally farcical with like lots of dicks in it?
Yeah, because I think like any of these movies could be someone's favorite Almodóvar movie, and unless it was Julieta, I would not be like hugely surprised.
Yeah.
All right, Raz. I want us to build an Almodóvar bingo.
Okay.
/ I guess this could be a drinking game if you wanted to. So we got to fill some squares with the stuff.
Oh, so we got to do it live.
Yeah, we got to do it live.
We got to come up with a bingo live.
Yeah, and it has to be, I guess, a square number -1. So we could do 8.
Okay, and we've got 25 minutes before you have to go.
Yeah, all right. I think number 1, we got mothers.
Yeah.
Mothers, motherhood.
Are you typing them?
I'm typing them, yeah.
I think that, like, I don't know why, but I think it's so funny when you see your friend typing in a Google Doc.
It's a kind of distant intimacy.
You're like, there you go, backspace there.
All right.
Telephone.
Telephone. Big telephone.
Big telephone.
Big telephone. Okay, hospital rooms. Being in the hospital.
Room.
In the hospitals in his movies.
Or just some kind of like secret medical issue.
Yeah.
Would also count.
The staff are always so nice.
Yeah. And the receptionists too. And
they're always just like, well, that seems fine. You can go now. Comatose woman.
I haven't seen any comatose women. Oh, yes, one. Seen one.
Women on the verge of a nervous breakdown. Oh, wait. No. Do you know what it is? It's not comatose women. It's one-sided conversations.
Okay. For instance, comatose.
For instance, there's talking to someone who's comatose, writing a letter that you don't send to somebody.
Yeah. Balcony.
Balcony. True. I hadn't thought about balcony.
Massive balcony, especially with a hose. So many characters are like, oh well, I'm gonna hose my plants.
I'd love to hose a balcony. I feel like I did that when I was a kid sometimes.
Yeah, well, like you're cleaning the driveway?
Yeah.
Oh, because cars used to leak oil all the time.
My next one, sorry, I'm just trying to, I'm not
Okay.
going to figure out how to pronounce this. His brother, who like, I think produces most of his movies or
Oh, you
all
don't
of
know
his
his
movies.
name?
Augustine, is it Augustine or Augustine? It's got a little
don't-
dash over the I.
It's not Augustine because there's no U in it. It's Augustine.
Augustine. Oh, I didn't even notice there was no U. I just wrote it
They
down.
probably say it like Augustine.
He appears as an actor in Pepi, Luci, Bomb, Labyrinth of Passion, Dark Habits, What Have I Done to Deserve This, Matador, Law of Desire, Women on the Verge of Nervous Breakdown, Tie Me Up, Tie Me Down, High Heels, Kika, Live Flesh, All About My Mother, Talk to Her, Bad Education, Vulva, Broken Embraces, The Skin I Live In, I'm So Excited, Julieta, Pain and Glory, and La Vox Humana. In cameos.
Oh, that's the short with Tilda Swinton, eh?
Yes. Which
La Vox
actually,
Humana.
I don't think it appears enough to get a full bingo square, but that particular thing appears in a lot of his movies. Because
What does?
it's about a woman talking on a phone. That's the whole stage play, is you just hear
okay.
her side of the conversation. And they stage it in Law of Desire. And apparently, Woman on the Verge of a Nervous Breakdown is inspired by it, but I don't trust Wikipedia saying things are inspired by things. They could mean
No,
anything.
neither. How many do we need for bingo? 8.
8.
With a bingo square, right?
Yeah, we need one more, and I'd like to suggest theatrical production.
Okay.
You happy with theatrical production?
Yeah, I was thinking the only thing that I could think of was figurines. There's so many figurines.
There's so many figurines. Well, we don't need a free square. We can have fucking figurines. Free
Well,
squares.
free square is going to be transsexual.
Okay, cool. I hope that my idea for this was that you could like draw it up and put it on the Instagram.
You're allowed to say transsexual on Instagram.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I don't.
Okay. Oh, you want me to draw it? You want me to make this? Okay.
Yeah. Hell yeah.
Do you want me to write transsexual with big tits? And I'll censor it in sort of a Generation Z way. Do you want me to do that?
Space. I'm writing transsexual. I don't think she necessarily needs big tits, although you're right.
No, I was just joking.
Okay.
I was just joking about putting that on Instagram.
I'm looking at these. I'm looking at the films. Law of Desire doesn't really have mothers, but it has all of the rest. Most of these have all of them. So I was going to say what gets the best score, but they pretty much like.
Yeah, if I had to do more, I would say figurines, and I would say like some mention of hometown.
Yes, they always talking about where they're from.
Train trip
Train trip.
on the Renfe.
All right. Do I ask my question now, or do we talk about something else?
I think it's long enough, isn't it?
Yeah, I think it's long enough.
Podcast.
All right.
It's 1 hour 46.
Yeah, that's heaps.
And sometimes the special question is brief, and sometimes it takes ages.
I think it's going to be brief. I just want to know, Raz, if someone was going to make a bingo for you, what would be
God.
what would be
Like
on it?
starter pack.
It's not a starter pack because it's not like things. It's like more thematic than that, right?
You mean for my work or for myself?
I'm imagining that you've become a filmmaker, but you are you. Like, what is going to be going in it? Because I was thinking, like, because I write songs,
stressful, yeah.
spoiler for my real life, and people are always like, "Oh, you'd fucking mentioned stars again," or they'll come up to me and they'll be like, "Oh,
See, this is the
person's in their
beauty.
room. They're in their room.
the-
Oh, fucking Amelia.
This is the beauty of having one book.
No one can pin you down."
No one can pick. They try. They try very hard, but they can't.
I think people with unpronounceable names would be on yours.
Okay. Do you want to do them for each other?
I'm happy to suggest a few for you, but if you've got any for you, or if you've got any for
Okay.
me, yeah.
For your musical career, or if you were a filmmaker?
Both, you know.
I don't know what kind of film you would make.
Okay, for my musical career.
Okay, I can imagine you. Eel?
Good, strong.
Maybe someone doing a musical performance.
Very good. I like that. I'm going to have to start making movies after this. I'm like, yeah, I want to see the eel movie where someone stages a play.
How about some coloured drinks?
Yeah, very, very good.
Kind of oblique references to the Bible.
All right. I think your one's definitely got
English folklore.
I think your one's got difficult to pass personal relationships.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Where you're like, is that guy's... Oh, no, they're... Oh, wait.
Yeah, I mean, that happens a lot in the Almodóvar films that they keep being like, hi, I'm your cousin's neighbour.
But I'm not just your cousin's neighbour. It turns out that I'm also the wife of...
Yeah.
Two of the
and
ones
I'm the lead actress in this play.
Oh yeah, in Parallel Mothers, the teen mum, she gets the reason that she ends up hanging out with Penelope Cruz so much is because her mum goes away to be an actress.
Goes away to be an actress.
She's like, I can only really make it in Barcelona.
Yeah, I know. I'm just saying that like so many of the movies have people being like, I'm going away.
I've got to go.
I need to time in the country.
I've either got to go to Madrid or Barcelona right now.
And the other thing that does show up in the films that's true is that they all go away for like the whole of August.
Oh.
That's why the apartments are all empty and nobody sees them in Tie Me Up, Tie Me Down.
I didn't even know that.
Yeah, they all fuck off. Because it's too hot in Madrid, it's like 40 degrees.
Raz, I forgot that we usually do the question after I do the outro. Yeah. So I've got to do the outro. Do you want to do the
outro and then do my things?
I've seen some of your things. I think you also...
you said two.
I said two. I think a green, pink, and flesh tone colour palette.
No, I wouldn't do that anymore.
No! Really? You're always wearing green.
Yeah, but I wouldn't do green and pink anymore. Once you have like a book out for like 5 years, it's that colour.
And it's all green and pink? Cool, can I just do green then?
Yeah, it'll be green, yeah.
It'll be green. It would really be green. I feel like if you were going to be a filmmaker, I think there would always be a character with an exotic pet.
But the animal in the movie, the animal rights.
Oh, too hard, Busk.
Too hard. How about some like really big wigs?
Oh no! It's got to be people talking casually about kind of obscure songs.
Obscure song?
Yeah, just being like, and then I was listening to this.
I don't think I would do that.
I think.
It's harder because I'm like more close to this.
You are more close to this.
It makes it harder because I'm like, I'm writing my book and I'm like, oh no, I think that all of this stuff I've moved on from. I think it's all too twee now.
What about embarrassing sexual exploits?
Embarrassing? What about just good sexual exploit?
That can be the title of the episode, Good Sexual Exploits.
Sorry, I derailed this conversation.
This has been...
Look at our figurines.
This has been Cinema Ping Pong. I'm Amelia. I've been joined by Rebecca. You can find us online at Cinema Bing Bong on Instagram and Blue Sky.
But we did one skeet.
We did one skeet. If you skeet at us, and maybe we'll skeet more. Good sexual exploits. Please give us a rating or review, or even better, like post about the podcast or tell someone that they should listen to it, because it's fun.
It's so embarrassing that we can't get anyone to do one Instagram story about the podcast.
They gotta look. Come on. Come on, guys, get your shit together. Do an Instagram story about how you're listening to Cinema Ping Pong, and it's inspired you to get the like espresso pot earrings from woman on the verge of a nervous
Yeah, I
breakdown.
want these like stylized costumes in my movies.
Yeah. They'll have to take them off for the exploits, though.
And I want some like really extreme landscape shots.
Oh, no one's going to put that on a bingo. Extreme landscape shot.
Why not? I feel like you don't respect my filmmaking.